we are working and studying our globe and the beautiful world that God made us, and we are learning about the continents and the oceans. And then this week, that was last week, and this week we're focusing on the resource that God gave us, which is water. We know that water covers over 70% of our world. And that is water is a natural resource, something that is God made, that is found in nature, that God gives us to help us grow, to help us live healthy lives, to keep us clean, to give us something to drink. These are wonderful things and wonderful ways that water is a benefit to us. And it's a natural resource. And so we want to use that natural resource wisely. And we're going to also be studying that. And for just a quick review before we keep working on the water cycle, natural resource, and how to use it wisely this week, we're going to review quickly what we learned about our continent and the other continents around us, where they're located, the names of the oceans. So let me try to find the picture. There we go. Actually, I'm going to actually use this picture instead because this one doesn't have the answers in it. All right. Let me see if you could see this kind of close. It's the map. I'll give you a little hint so you can kind of get your bearings on this globe right here. This is all the continent that we live on. What continent is that called? North America. And then if you head south to the continent below it, what continent is that? South America. And in our fun video the other day, they called it top bunk, bottom bunk. So in the classroom, when I've been asking them what the name of the continent, someone will always yell, top bunk. And I'll say, that's true. That's a good way for us to remember it. The top bunk is North America. The bottom bunk is South America. Over here, all the way to the west of North America, there's an ocean. Do you remember the name of the ocean? It's by California, the west of North America. Do you remember the name of that ocean? It's one of these choices right here. Can you read that? The Pacific Ocean. That's the Pacific Ocean. So we have North America, South America, and on the west side, not by Florida, we have the Pacific Ocean. And then the ocean by Florida. You remember the name of that ocean, the ocean that we live near? The Atlantic Ocean. All right, now let's come over. Let's head from North America. In which direction am I heading? If I'm in North America and I'm going this way, I'm heading which direction? East. We're going to head east to this continent right here. And it's where the lions live. Do you remember that continent? Let me get it where you can see it. There we go. There's your word bank. Do you see it? Africa. That's where the lions live. And it's right there below Europe. And then we have the largest continent over here. It's the largest one. Do you remember the name of the largest continent? Did you say Asia? If you did, you got it correct. Wonderful job. Then one other question on this page. The ocean that's at the top of the globe. It's very cold there. It's covered in ice. Do you remember the name of that ocean? The Arctic Ocean. Well done. On Friday, you are going to have a test on those, and I think you will be ready. So keep studying them and keep practicing. Well, God gave us all sorts of water on our earth, right? He gave us water that's in the ocean, and that's salt water. He gave us rivers and lakes and ponds. We said that 70% of our globe is covered in water. So we are going to we learned it a little bit yesterday and today about the water cycle a little more. So before we talk about that, I want you to watch a video on how exactly the water cycle works, okay? Then I'll come back and we'll do a little bit more teaching about that. Move me over here so you can see the video better, and we'll start.
friends, and welcome to another new Happy Learning video. Today we will learn all about the water cycle. Earth, which is the planet we live on, is known as the blue planet because as much as 3/4 of the planet's surface is water. And water is so very important because without it, there would be no life. Without it, these sweet little otters wouldn't exist. Or these playful bears. Nor this conceited bird. Or even us, the human beings. That is why we must look after it. We should conserve our water well, and most of all, we must maintain our rivers and oceans clean. Did you know water never stands still, but is in always constant movement, even though at times it doesn't seem like it? This water movement is what we call water cycle. Now, let's learn more about it. When the sun warms the water on the Earth's surface, it evaporates, converting itself into water vapor or steam. And it begins its incredible journey, flying into the sky, up towards the atmosphere. This first stage of its journey is known as evaporation. When the water converts in vapor, it rises towards the atmosphere, then cools down, transforming itself into clouds. This second stage of its journey is called condensation. Once the water has condensated and turned into a cloud, it continues its amazing journey by being blown by the wind, traveling from one place to another. Clouds are actually tiny little drops of water suspended in the air. But when the clouds grow, they collect more and more water. These water drops then crash into each other and become bigger drops of water. Then, at some point, they will end up falling to the ground in the form of rain or even snow. This stage of the water cycle is called precipitation. The water which falls to the ground, which precipitates in the form of either rain or snow, may land in rivers or even on the ground, to then seep through to subterranean currents of water. All this water must continue its long journey, covering vast amount of distances until it finally reaches the sea. When it arrives at the big blue sea, it will once again begin the process. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. That is why it's called the water cycle, because it forms a never-ending circle. Isn't the water just so incredible? Well, that's it for now. Until the next video, and don't forget to subscribe to Happy Learning.
Okay, so we know that the water cycle needs the sun. The sun heats up the water. And when the sun heats up the water, it evaporates up. Now, when it evaporates, can we see evaporation? When you're outside and the water's going up, do you look out and see water going up? It isn't something we see. It's something that happens, but it's not something we see. When it precipitates, when it comes down, that we see. We see that almost every day when it rains in the afternoon, don't we, in South Florida this time of year? But the sun heats up the water and it goes up. The water will go up into evaporation. Then it forms a cloud in something called condensation. So the clouds, the waters come together and it makes a cloud. So cloud is just water. And they come together, and the more water that comes in the cloud, the heavier the cloud gets. And when the cloud gets really heavy, it can't hold the water anymore. So the next step is precipitation. So it goes up as evaporation It forms a cloud in condensation, then it falls in precipitation. So, couple things. I want to teach you a little chant to kind of help us with those big words because they are really big words. So I always sing a little song. Water goes in a circle, yes it does. Water goes in a circle, yes it does. It goes up as evaporation forms a cloud in condensation, and it falls in precipitation, yes it does. So that will be a really good song to remind you those big words. It goes up as evaporation forms a cloud in condensation. Then it falls in precipitation. Yes, it does. Precipitation can be rain like we get in Florida. But if we head up north in North America, we head up north, it in the winter, the precipitation might be snow or hail or sleet. Any of the water that comes down from the cloud would be precipitation. So today in science class, after science class, I want you to make a little chart, I guess we could call it, a little craft to teach us about the water cycle. So I did one example. I didn't have any yellow construction paper. I did mine orange. Made the grass. I made a little lake. There's our water that got one of the parts of water that God made for us, right? And then I know that the sun is there because the sun is what allows the evaporation. So I wrote my word evaporation. I made my arrow going up. Then I made a cloud and I did condensation because it forms a cloud in condensation. Then I did my raindrops and it falls in precipitation. So how about you? Can you make me show me what you've learned? Will you make me a chart showing the water cycle? If yours wants to look a little different, feel free to make it as, um, use your own imagination, but show me the water cycle. All right, tomorrow we'll get back together. We're going to do a little science experiment that you're going to be working on tomorrow with the water cycle. And then we'll also be learning how to use the resources that God gave us to protect our world and to keep our world beautiful and to use it wisely. All right, I'll see you tomorrow in science class.